The second Peter McDonald Cup Grand Final in first grade. We're coming to you from Apex Oval in Dubbo this afternoon. It is the scene of last year's Grand Final, and Dubbo Cyms, at least, are one of the combatants that were here last year. It was the Forbes Magpies who came, though, and took the trophy. And the Mudgee Dragons from Group 10, who won their Premiership, in fact finished on top of the ladder from Group 10 against Dubbo Cyms, who finished on top of the ladder in Group 11. So a lot of speculation this afternoon, not only about which team will take home the Peter McDonald Trophy, but bragging rights for their competition, whether it's Group 10 and the Mudgee Dragons or Group 11 and Dubbo Cyms. Dubbo Cyms, since 2001, have played in 18 of 21 grand finals. They haven't won them all. Indeed, they've lost 4 of their last 6 that they've played. But a very experienced Dubbo Cyms team that won the minor premiership, won the club championship, and they're up against a Mudgee Dragons team coached this year. A playing coach, Clay Priest, but he's not playing today. He's under suspension, having been sent off late in the season, and has watched his team from the sideline over the last month or so. And the Mudgee Dragons, a side that is chock full of local blokes and a few others who've made Mudgee their home in recent years. It's a very colourful sight. The green and white of Dubbo Cyms, the balloons with the fish on top, and I've got no doubt that there will be some Dragons who'll be making their way out. Of course, Mudgee celebrating 100 years 2 years ago, and they'll be looking to do what their near neighbours Gulgong did yesterday. Gulgong winning 10-4 in the grand final against a team that had travelled from Cobar, the most travelled team in, I think, country New South Wales. And they went to Gulgong, to Billy Dunn Oval, and came away not winning, but certainly victors in terms of their family and their friends and their supporters. It was a wonderful day from all reports, big crowd on hand, and we had wins for Coonabarabran in reserve grade. They defeated Gilgandra, and in the the league tag, the youth league was won by Narromine about 6 weeks ago. That was a truncated season, and a fantastic game that went into extra time before the Narromine Jets defeated a team that has been the benchmark for the last few years, the Dunedoo Swanettes. But a colourful scene at Apex Oval, the kids out on the field having a run around, parents and families on the far side on the hill, and the grandstand. There's a few people sitting around with blankets. There's quite a chilly breeze, but a good crowd on hand for the end of season. And Dubbo Cyms will be probably the first team out. Dubbo Cyms fullback is Jeremy Thurston. On the wings, Ratu Picelli Rocco played a fair bit of rugby here in Dubbo over the last couple of years, but has been a member of the Cyms first grade. Alongside, or on the opposite wing, is Corey Drew, a podiatrist who came to Dubbo 3 or 4 seasons ago. His wife Maddie is the captain coach of the league tag team. They bowed out last week. Jai Chapman in the centres. This is his 10th year and probably his 10th grand final. And Tom Hughes, who came to teach in Dubbo last year, he played a fair bit of football in the Newcastle League and in the lower grades with the Newcastle Knights. Injury to a leg that he brought with him, but that's been repaired, and he's moved from the wing into the centres, and his defence will be something that David West and Nathan Orr will feel throughout the afternoon. Claude Gordon is at 5'8". He's been nearly as travelled as the Cobar Roosters. He's been to a lot of clubs, Claude Gordon, but he's an experienced hand, and his deft kicks, his ability to read the play, and his combination with the halfback Geordie Madden will be key this afternoon. Geordie Madden in just his second season in first grade, but he's slight, but he can slide through a gap, and he has a tremendous ability to offload the ball and work with his big men. Jaron Powyer is the captain, number 8, his 10th season with the club. Alex Bonham, who's played 5/8 in 3 or 4 of the grand final wins. Hooker in most of last season and this, and he'll be there at 9 again today. Probably the best game reader, at least in Group 11. And James Stanley, the big, almost like a cannonball prop forward. Chance Burgess comes back into the second row. Billy Singh back from injury, and Ben Marlin is the lock forward. as the Mudgee Dragons, led out by Jack Beasley, their captain coach, or their captain. He's been the man leading them around 2 years out with injury, but he's really made a fine return to the game, and he's been captaining in the absence of Clay Priest. The fullback, former coach Jack Littlejohn, is 31 years of age, played with Manly, played with the Tigers, and this is his fourth or fifth year playing in Mudgee. On the wings, Joshua Wilson-Tuckey, who had, he's 25, a local boy. David West, only 20, originally from Wellington, but he's played with Mudgee and Golgong. Nathan Orr, 2016 Premiership, the last time that Mudgee won a Premiership. Leighton Lothian from Lithgow Workies on the wing in number 5. Hayden Carpenter has come up from Wollongong as now Jaron Powyer leads his Dubbo Cyms team out onto the field. They'll still be hurting some of these boys from last year's loss to Forbes, and hoping that they can rectify that this afternoon against a Mudgee team that have come with little pressure. They're not on their home ground. They haven't had to put up with all of that expectation. They come having won their finals matches, coming from behind to get through to the grand final. Pacey Stockton and Hayden Carpenter are the two centres, the halves. Hayden Carpenter, 30, from Wollongong, played with the Illawarra side. Pacey Stockton was at Lithgow Workies. He's only 22, a young halfback who wanted to come and play first grade. And Casey Burgess, the brother of Chance Burgess. They travel from Coolah each week. One gets to the turn-off at Leadville and heads to Mudgee, and the other one heads to Dubbo. Jack Beasley, the captain, in 9. Cody Godden in 25. He's played with Lithgow. He's played with Oberon. James Goonry is 26. He's played at Cobar. Started as a junior out there. He's played with Parks, and in his third year now with the Mudgee Dragons. Jake Durant is a local. Jaden Brown, 29. Fourth season. He was the Woodbridge Cup Player of the Year in back-to-back 17 and 18. Hamish Bryant was in that Premiership team in 2016 with Nathan Orr, and is playing today off the bench. Nick Bly, 31, played at Parks and with Camden, and he's out there. And a young, exciting second rower, Hudson Brown, who may start, but at this stage is coming off the bench. He played with the Panthers this year in their underage and is off to the Storm for next year. And Billy Carberry, at 23, is a local bloke looking to make a name this afternoon. The coach, Clay Priest, the coach of Dubbo Cyms, is a former player who started his career in Sydney, played with the North Sydney Bears and the Tigers. But let's take our national anthem from Ashley.
With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Ashley Winiata. She's from New Zealand. She spent a fair bit of time in Melbourne. She's now in Dubbo, and that sets the scene for this afternoon's grand final. History to be made. Neither of these teams have won the Peter McDonald Cup, although Cyms in their second successive grand final, and they'll face a Mudgee team determined to win, not only for their own community, not only for the eastern part of the Peter McDonald Cup, but also to put some points on the board for Group 10, and it will be Pacey Stockton, I think, to come up with the first kick of the game. No, it's not. It's the hooker and captain, Jack Beasley, who puts the ball down. It goes to Jaron Powyer, the captain, and what he'll be doing at 80th minute is what he did just then, running full bore, very fit, very fast, and a great backup This time it comes to Billy Singh. Missed the semi-finals through injury, had an ankle injury, but he's been declared fit during the training. And Bonham it is, goes across to the second ball player, the number 7, the young halfback in Geordie Madden. They get out to their 30-metre line, Cyms on tackle number 4, and it goes to the bloke we call the wrecking ball, James Stanley, and the Mudgee Dragons have no doubt been watching the videos as referee Anthony Pond gets the Mudgee team back over the halfway line, and this time Bonham out of dummy half, and he's got a good kicking game, but it's well taken on the far side of the field by number 5, Leighton Lothian, playing in his first grand final with Mudgee, having played a bit of football with the Lithgow Workies. If you're wondering what happened in lower grade games, the first game was the Ladies League tag, and it was the Bathurst St Panthers brilliant winning by 32-8 as the Cyms defence drives in and drives Mudgee forwards back, comes across the field, and again the green defensive line is there, and there's 4 players in, and on each occasion they've stopped and then forced them back. The reserve grade went to Dubbo Cyms 32-22 against a Cowra Magpies outfit that led 22-12, 15 minutes out from full time. And the Western Premiership Grand Final, the Tom Nelson under-18s went to the unbeaten Orange Hawks 42-14 in an exhilarating display as the fullback here, Jack Littlejohn, puts the ball down and goes into the arms of his opposite number, a man that's led the try scorers in Group 11 and in the Peter McDonald Cup in the last couple of years, Jeremy Thurston, Canamble lad, who's made Dubbo Cyms his home in the last couple of years. It goes across to Jai Chapman, and characteristically across field, but then straightens and taken down by the defence. He's 32 metres out. A young fellow who started in the juniors with Dubbo Cyms is Ben Marlin, and he's inside that 30-metre line. It goes across to Bonham and then out to young Madden, and he gets it back inside to a fella that has a lot of experience. Billy Singh went down and trialled and played with Balmain for a season or two after being the star of the juniors. And here he is, Jim Stanley takes it forward. He's taken low, taken in a lovely tackle by the captain of Mudgee, Jack Beasley. Cyms go out wide, a little dribble through, and the man that's chasing is Rocco Ratu, the winger. And the man that's really made a name for himself with Cyms, not only with his speed and if he gets an opportunity to see him away, but just doing that, jumping in, getting the ball as it came through. And we'll look at a replay of this. He clearly got ahead of the defenders coming across and planted the ball. The referee, he's got his in-goal touch judges. They were all there, and no question whatsoever that try, the first of the 2023 Grand Final, goes to Dubbo Cyms. It is Ratu Rocco who scored the try, and he has put Cyms ahead by 4 points to 0. Dubbo Cyms are a team that loves to get those early points and get away, and Ratu Rocco will also be prominent when the opposition team has the ball and it comes across the back line, and Ratu is a real kamikaze, comes flying in from the wing. He's always a low tackler, goes down round the legs, but gee, it's a shock to a centre or a second rower who's playing on that side of the field when he comes through. Now it's a strong wind, as you can see, blowing down the ground. It's behind Dubbo Cyms in the first half, and the referee's director for the Western Rams is Willie Barnes, no stranger to grand finals here over the years, and he reckons probably a 14 to 16 point win. Yes, so Cyms will be very happy if they can convert 4 into 6. 5 minutes gone in the grand final at Apex Oval in Dubbo. I'm Jeff Mann. This is grand final number 31 for me, and Thurston puts it out to the right and brings it back beautifully. Flags go up. 6 points to 0. 5 minutes gone in the grand final, and that would be just the stimulus that they would need in the opening exchanges. They did well in defence in their own half for a few tackles, but it was more the defence when Mudgee turned the ball over. They kept driving Mudgee back from there into their own line, and then completed a really good set of 6 and finished it off with a kick. And this time it goes back and goes across, and it's one of the second rowers, I think, that's pulled that ball forward. Or is it the lock forward? It might be Ben Marlin that came forward. No, it's not. It's the captain, Jaron Powyer. This time it's Ben Marlin. You'll hear those two names called regularly throughout the afternoon as Marlin gets up to 25 metres and Bonham raises the arms and then goes out to Jimbo Stanley, and Jim gets up almost to the 40-metre line. The Mudgee have done plenty of work looking at where Jim will be running, and that's close to the ruck and at very fast pace. This time a charge down, and it's Claude Gordon's kick that has been charged down. I thought that there might have been a knock on at the other side of that by young Madden, but he hasn't, and Benny Marlin comes forward and he's caught and then driven by Hayden Carpenter. What a terrific 5/8 he's proving to be, and he was joined in that one by Jaden Brown, the lock forward. Now Cyms take it 5 metres out from dummy half, from halfway, goes across the field, and the referee Anthony Pond working with his team to try and keep the Mudgee Dragons back as Cyms get up over the halfway line. Goes across this time to Gordon, and he turns it back on the inside to Ben Marlin. 5 tackles gone. 40 metres gained for Dubbo Cyms. The kick will come here. Is it going to come from Bonham? Yes, it is. And this one's just a low kick to give his chasers the time to get down there. They do that, and it's a replacement that's out there for Cyms in Mitch Cleary. I think started the game. He's been playing in the second row as there have been a couple of injuries, in particular to Billy Singh. He's out there, and now the winger Drew makes one and then dives and takes the legs out of the Mudgee Dragon, and Cyms have coughed up a penalty. The Mudgee Dragons will be very happy with that to relieve a little bit of pressure. It's been frantic in the last few minutes. Dubbo Cyms scoring the try through Ratu Pacheli Rocco, who is one of the Islander men that came out and played with Narromine for a couple of years, played rugby union with Dubbo Kangaroos, and now is with Dubbo Cyms. The conversion of that first try by Jeremy Thurston put Cyms ahead 6 points to 0. 8 minutes gone in the grand final, and it comes away this time to the man that made that terrific tackle just a little while ago, the 5/8 Hayden Carpenter. It's the hooker and the captain of the side this time, Jack Beasley, who darts out of dummy half, but well taken by the Cyms defence. Ben Marlin up there, and one of the little men, I think it might be Madden, the halfback. This time a kick that goes into the wind, it goes down into the box. Rocco is down, gets back to his feet, slides across the face of the defence, and then gets out into the field of play, and a penalty earned for a high tackle there, and it might be Jack Littlejohn that's been penalised. Or is it the man just getting up from the field now? But he went across field, tried to straighten, and finished up earning his team a penalty. So all that good work from Mudgee, getting a penalty, taking the ball down to Cyms' quarter with a good kick, but the ranging kick has brought them undone. And I think it might have been the 5/8 actually that was penalised there, Hayden Carpenter. He's a strong defender. Tommy Hughes this time started the season on the wing, but he's now playing in the centres and has been very strong defensively all year, but also a powerful runner, as is Billy Singh. Couple of tries the last time he played in the grand final. He's played prop in grand finals. He's played lock, he's played second row, and we've seen him run around in the centres. But this time Bonham gets across to Thurston, and then it goes to the captain, Jaron Powyer. He's fast, he's got a good step on him, and he's certainly fearless, and he goes for 80 minutes. Bonham again inside to Thurston, and Thurston can't get around the captain of Mudgee, Jack Beasley, and goes to ground. And again, Bonham comes out, looks to get a kick away, but he's been ankle tapped. And I think it might have been one of the second rowers, perhaps James Goonry, who started his career out at Cobar, then went to Parks, but has been in Mudgee for the last couple of years. And now it's Jaron Powyer. No, it's not. It's Claude Gordon. And one of the players was offside. It might be Alex Bonham, who got up too quickly. And Mudgee looking for a quick tap and kick on. But they've decided to go for the sideline. And the fullback, Jack Littlejohn, puts the ball out on the 30-metre line. Dubbo Cyms 6, Mudgee 0 in the Peter McDonald Cup Grand Final for 2023. Cyms having won the Premiership a couple of years ago when the COVID meant that there was no Grand Final. And this time Tom Hughes it was that rushed up, almost brushed off by his opposite number in Nathan Orr, but Mudgee have lost the ball in the tackle, and there's a bit of conjecture here. A couple of the players going to the touch judge and complaining. In fact, it was the captain there, Beasley, coming across, and I think he might have realised that it was a mistake by his centre, Nathan Orr, and that came from a tough tackle made, at least a half tackle made by Tom Hughes, the Dubbo Cyms number 4. Now Madden puts the ball in and it goes out to Drew. Often comes in from the wing from a scrum and does what he does there, just races out, takes it across field, and this time Thurston, the fullback, he's danger man all year. Started the season with his leg very, very heavily wrapped, looked like a hamstring injury, and now Jimbo, he goes straight forward to the littlest man in the opposite team, but he's not afraid of anything, Jack Beasley, and puts him down, and now Powyer again gets Dubbo Cyms up over the halfway line. They're playing on home turf, Dubbo Cyms. It goes out this time to Claude Gordon, another kicking option, goes to Little John, he comes forward, leaps a little bit into the air but takes that with ease and runs into Billy Singh over the top, and it might have been Tom Hughes who went down low. Now Mudgee looking to take it out of their own half. They had a perfect opportunity just a few minutes ago when they received a penalty and then kicked the ball deep and it caused Cyms to run it out from behind their own line, but gave away a penalty, and that played into the hands of Cyms as it goes across, this time to the prop forward, Cody Godden, 25. Played a bit of football down at Lithgow and at Oberon, Cody Godden, and he's been one of the mainstays this season as Little John goes forward, and he runs into a very solid defence, and a little kick through by Mudgee, not play on by the referee, and a super tackle by Claude Gordon. In fact, I didn't realise that he'd ordered that to be 6 again. I thought it was just play on, but it's Godden this time across 10 metres in, 5 metres out from Dubbo Cyms line. Can they get first points on the board, Mudgee? They trail by 6-0, but they're not going to get anywhere when you've got James Stanley going in low like that and Ben coming across the top. Again, the experience there of the fullback, Jack Littlejohn, stood in the tackle, tried to offload, but the referee has found one of the players, and I think it might have been Thurston, his opposite number. Now, what do we do? Goal for points or try and maintain the pressure? They haven't had a lot of time down inside Cyms quarter. 13 minutes gone in the grand final, and it will be the captain, Beasley, who brings it back out. Yeah, he's decided to go forward, and just a tap goes across to the left-hand side and taken down less than 5 metres out from Cyms line. So the defence of Dubbo Cyms to be tested here as Beasley comes out from dummy half, goes across the field right in front of the posts, ducks back inside, but held there by 3. He's strong, only small, but very, very strong. And they come to the right-hand side, and it goes to the big second rower, Goonry, and Goonry's down in a tackle, a couple of metres still out from Dubbo Cyms line. Nothing too expansive, but it's a centre in Nathan Orr who comes forward, met in a savage tackle there by Jaron Powyer. 4 tackles gone. They look to go wide this time, and it goes across to the halfback. Pacey Stockton goes out further wide, but the Cyms defence is across, and it looks like the referee has called another penalty against Dubbo Cyms for stripping the ball in the tackle. So this will be the 3rd set in a row for Mudgee, and they look to go forward, just a settler to start with, and the Cyms defence really being tested now. It comes across the field, it goes to the 5/8, and he gets a nice long pass out, Hayden Carpenter, but again that's that defence from Dubbo Cyms, and it's the centre Hughes who comes in and drives his opposite number into the ground, and another one with Billy Singh putting his opposite number on his back. They go to the left this time. 4 on 3 out there. Dubbo Cyms will need to come across, and they've done that, but the ball's come back, and there it is. Jack Littlejohn, the fullback, comes back, goes into the centre of the field, and a tackle 15 metres out, 10 metres out from Dubbo Cyms line in the 3rd set as Beasley gets it and goes to the lock forward, Jaden Brown. Brown crossfield, he runs into the defence, but he spins and is down. Now we're going a kick on the right-hand side, or they're going to the left. Now it's a little kick on the left-hand side, and Thurston, the fullback, catches that like a slips fielder and stays in the field of play. Cyms now have the work to do to get the ball away from their own line, and given the strength of the breeze and the kickers that they have in their artillery, don't be surprised if Cyms don't kick early. That's 3 tackles gone. They're only 15 metres out from their own line, and they look to do through Rocco, and the man that scored the first try cashing in on a kick that was dribbled through, and this time it is Bonham kicking from inside his 40, and he's got a good boot, and that ball swinging towards the grandstand side of the field, but it is taken well by Joshua Wilson-Tucky, and he gets back almost to the 30-metre line as the second rower comes on, Jamin Cleary. No, it's not, it's his brother Mitch Cleary, and Dubbo Cyms, the referee has stopped the play. Perhaps there's a player that's got a head injury. The referee has looked at number 4, Nathan Orr, and the crowd on the hill. Quite a contingent from Wellington, from Mudgee, that are using the perfect conditions to watch it this afternoon as they go crossfield, and the ball carted up into the face of the defence by Mudgee, and again, beautiful tackle by Dubbo Cyms, but again they've been penalised for being offside. Billy Singh obviously very keen to get into the game, having been out for a couple of weeks, and Little John comes up and this time puts the ball into touch, 35 metres, 33 metres out from Cyms' line, and the ball goes into the centre of the field. And the man that's been heavily involved, Nathan Orr, he's got a bit of blood streaming from the nose. He goes to ground in the tackle of 3. Tom Hughes again and Madden, and they go across this time to the second rower, James Goonry. He's put down by Cyms' defence, and again Madden in there, and this time with Ben Marlin, and they come back across the defence. Gee, almost through there, but enough of a tackle by Mitch Cleary, and this time a try has been scored. No, the referee's calling it knock on. Wow, that'll be an interesting one, and there's been a bit of biffo. A little bit of biffo has started, and I think it might be Jai Chapman that's come running in there. Now he's over on the left-hand side of the field. It's another one of the Cyms players who took offence to something that happened in there, and he's being sat on his backside now by his opposite number. I think it might have been Tom Hughes. So I'd like to have a look at what happened there as Little John came through. We're watching the replay. He goes over the line, tries to get it down. He put the ball on the leg, and then the referees ruled that he's dropped that ball. He placed it on the leg of one of the Cyms defenders, and then as he went to put it down, he put it on the ground but dropped it. And now referee Pond has his touch judge coming in from the sideline. They're having a chat to what happened, and this could be for the player that came racing in to get involved. There was something that he saw happened after the tackle. Jaron Paya is being called out and spoken to. And he's now calling out Jack Beasley to have a yarn to him. So Mr. Pond letting both teams know that Dubbo Cyms will have the ball on the red line for a knock-on in goal. Mudgee, perfect opportunity. 18 minutes in, 22-37 still to go in the first half, and Cyms holding on to that lead of 6 points to nil as James Stanley barrels his way forward almost to the halfway line, and it is the referee in the middle who's got a little bit of extra pressure on his under his inside, and is taken in a tackle only a metre out from the line. He had Rocco outside him, chose to dummy, and this time the Mudgee defends up quickly. It's Casey Burgess, and they've turned the ball over. Casey Burgess there. I know the Burgess boys know the Cyms boys because their brother Chance plays for Dubbo Cyms, and now a Mudgee player has gone down, and the 5'8", Hayden Carpenter coming across. He looks like he's a pretty tough customer who won't take any nonsense from the opposition. He came in to make sure that there was nothing there. But Tom Hughes had an opportunity. I think he probably could have put Rocco over into the corner, but he dummied and went back inside, and a lovely cover tackle felled him a metre from the line. Then they lost the ball on the next tackle, and Mudgee couldn't make the most of it, and they lost the ball, and it's back with Dubbo Cyms now inside the 20. It goes wide to the halfback Madden. He gets it out to Thurston off his left foot again, and Thurston looking for a man coming up on the inside. It was Jaron Powyer who was there, broken out of the scrum, but this time Billy Singh almost laid on the last try, gets within half a metre of the line, is held up by the hooker Beasley, and it goes wide. Tom Hughes, is it out there? No, it's the 14, Mitch Cleary, who picks up Mudgee so far, defending well in this set of 6. They take it back across the line. It goes there to Chance Burgess, and he's put on his back, but the referees ruled that as a knock-on, and I can only think that it was a knock-on because it went off his body into the Mudgee player, and even though he got it back, it had already been knocked on. One of those situations, here we see it on replay, it goes from Chapman, it comes across to Claude Gordon, and then it comes across to Chance Burgess, and the ball pops up in the air. Now, I couldn't see from this angle whether in fact he dropped it into the opposition player. It just looked like it was knocked out and the tackle and went up, but nevertheless the referee's much closer to that than me, and he's called it a knock on. And Mudgee, 19 minutes away from half time, trailing by 6. They've got a bit of work to do now down inside their own quarter. It is a change coming on for Mudgee with Hamish Bryant, who played in the 2016 Premiership. Plenty of experience from him, and he's back out on the field, gets it down the far side of the field. 1-2 players beaten, but the Cyms green line of defence comes across, and it was Jai Chapman in the end who made the tackle, and this time it's a run forward by Mudgee, and it's been dropped there. I think might have been by that replacement that's just come on, Hamish Bryant. And Cyms have lost the ball too, but the referee's going with the first knock on. Again, the little captain, Jack Beasley, having a word to the referee, indicating that he thought that the ball the first time was stripped out. But it's Dubbo Cyms, 40 metres out, leading by 6 points to nil on a glorious day for rugby league at Apex Oval in Dubbo, the second Peter McDonald Premiership between the heavyweights of Group 10 and Dubbo Cyms, who've been the minor premiers and premiers in Group 11 for the last 2 years. Beaten in the grand final last year, so we'll have a new champion after Forbes claimed the very first one. And this time it's Burgess goes forward, not afraid to barrel the ball up towards his brother or any of those teammates, and this time a glorious pass, magnificent pass from the little fellow Geordie Madden. Made his way crossfield. He's very deceptive. He looks small. He is small, but he's very strong and he's very smart, and just drifting across the field. You'll see it here. It came from Bonham. Bonham gets it away to Madden as the first receiver. He goes crossfield, and then a lovely short pass that finds the hole, and it's the captain of the side, Jaron Powyer. He scored plenty of tries for Dubbo Cyms over the years. He scored plenty of tries in grand finals. Not always been on the winning side. Played his first grand final in 2013. They were beaten by Parks, but he's so keen to lead his team to victory today, and it showed in his determination there. Madden came into first grade last year straight out of the juniors, a couple of games in first grade the year before, but he's a smart little player, and he took that ball, first receiver, got himself too wide, and then was able to put his man through the hole. And Mudgee have the work to do, down by 10 points to nil. Kick coming with the wind at his back, but across the breeze this time for Jeremy Thurston. And Dubbo Cyms leading by 10 to nil. I think I told you earlier, Willie Barnes, the referee's coach, reckoned it was a 14 to 16 point breeze. Well, if he can put this over, 12-0 gets them in the zone. The earlier matches today, as Thurston makes his way back, he doesn't take a lot of fancy work. He just has a look. He talks to himself, props on his toes, Jeremy Thurston, and then makes his way into the ball. Boot to ball. It looks good off the boot, and it's straight through the middle. And there it is. Jeremy Thurston must have been getting something from the Mudgee supporters on the far side, and he turns around and gives them a wave to say, well, that didn't impact me at all. Watch this. He's not like some of the kickers that go back and they sort of do a praying mantis. They go down on their knees and they step to the left and step to the right. He just keeps an eye on the ball, puts boot to ball and puts it straight through the middle. And Dubbo Cyms, 16 minutes out from half-time, lead by 12 points to 0. The earlier games today went in league tag to Bathurst St Pat's, their second successive premiership. They've been the gun side in Western Rugby League for a number of years, and they've taken their second league tag 32-8 over a young and enthusiastic Dubbo Macquarie side that started well but were run down. Reserve grade Dubbo Cyms were the team that did all the running from behind. They were down at one stage by 22-12 and won 32-22. So they are also back-to-back winners. There's a long kick coming from inside the Cyms quarter, and it goes all the way down there to the fullback Little John. He's hoping that ball's going to go over the dead ball line, and the experience of the former NRL player was enough to pilot that one home. Just out of the hands of the flying Rocco, who scored the first try for Cyms. Orange Hawks won the Tom Nelson Western Premiership Grand Final 42-14 to complete an undefeated season. Not an easy feat to accomplish, but they did it with style this afternoon in a game that had its moments for both teams. But I think the referee might be having a look at this one from Ben Marlin. It's not Ben Marlin, it's Chance Burgess. And is that one of the Burgess boys coming in against him? No, I think it might be one of the replacements that came in there, perhaps Hamish Bryant, and the referee going across. Has a little chat to Beasley. It comes to the fullback. He's already pulled off one try-saving tackle, Jack Littlejohn, and crossed the line but couldn't hold onto the ball. And this fellow's been really strong in charging it up from the kick returns. Nathan Orr takes it up to Cyms, 32 metres out from their line. It goes across to Goonry, and Goonry steps off his left foot. Back on a ground that he played plenty of junior football on when he was with the Cobar Roosters, and Cobar was in Group 11. And he's been given a bit of cheek there, I think, by Ben Marlin, and reaches out. He just drops the ball, drops it clean. And Alex Bonham was standing there looking at that. And Mudgee's penalty count, or their error count, has really started to mount up, and it's showing on the scoreboard. Cyms 12 lead Mudgee Dragons 0. Cyms have the wind at their back, and they're playing in front of a home crowd, but they've been able to repel all but one from Mudgee, and the one that they failed to repel, there's almost an old-fashioned charge into the front row there with the 15, Hamish Bryant, looking for a head clash. And the referee was on top of it, got them back, and the ball goes across now. And Ellis, Chapman tries to get around, gets it back into the middle of the field, goes to fullback Thurston, and he's taken, looks at his forwards and thinks, well, where were you guys when I needed you? And again, here it is, coming out of dummy half, Alex Bonham. He did this last week against Mudgee, and there's almost a terrible mix-up there between fullback and winger, and there's a little bit of thought from the Cyms boys that maybe that ball was knocked on, but I think the fullback Littlejohn got to it in time. 2 tackles gone, and Mudgee deep inside their own quarter again. They look to spread it wide. It goes out, but a lovely low tackle again out there, and this time by the winger Drew. He doesn't get involved in the play a lot, but when he does, he tackles low and he runs hard and can get under the high ball when he's needed in defence. Now Cyms trying to control the centre of the field as Beasley comes out, and the ball back on the inside, almost to the halfway. So Cyms have managed to keep Mudgee inside their own half, and that's been for all of this set of 6. A good kick by Littlejohn. It's gone across field. Thurston will be the first man there, but he's confronted by 2 of the on-rushing Mudgee defenders, including Leighton Lothian, the winger, and now Rocco, the winger from the grandstand side of the field, gets across to support and takes the ball up on the first tackle. 32 out from their own line. It goes to, I think that's Cleary, the second rower. Started off the bench, as having been named on the bench. This time Alex Bonham gives a poor pass, and a bloke that loves the ball in front of him and just in front of his chest, Chance Burgess, hasn't played for about 4 weeks, and he won't be happy with himself there as they come together in the front row. Casey Burgess on this side of the scrum, and he was the one that I think was looking to go head-to-head with Jaron Power a few minutes ago in the last scrum, but it will be the 5'8". Hayden Carpenter, 30 years of age, very experienced player. Goes to the hooker this time, gets out there, and there's a little bit of confusion in the Cyms defence, but again, coming across in cover, they've been able to cover that up. Mudgee would love to get on the board. 12-0 down in the grand final, 10 minutes out from half-time. It comes crossfield, and it goes to the 5'8" Carpenter, but he's well wrapped up by Billy Singh. And then the little man who's strong above his size is the halfback, Geordie Madden. Referee sends Carpenter back a couple of metres, gives everyone a chance to breathe, and this time I think it's Hudson Brown, young fella that played with Penrith this year. He's off to the Melbourne Storm next year, is the 19-year-old, and he showed plenty of gumption there. They go across to the blind side again. Where are they coming this time? The call is out for a kick on the right-hand side of the field. It's gone, but it's gone low and it's gone nowhere. And it's Madden who gets that ball. He read it very clearly. I think the call from the 4 and the 2 on this side of the field, Nathan Orr and Joshua Wilson-Tuckey, was for the high one across field, but it didn't come. And now it looks like Cyms have received a penalty. So I think everything going their way at the moment. And there's the fullback Thurston. He shows his experience. He gets forward, puts the ball into touch. He probably picked up 6 or 7 metres because the penalty was given on his own side of the quarter line, and then he walked a few metres, and now Cyms tap and go, and it's Tom Hughes. He goes straight up into his opposite number, Nathan Orr, and is crunched to the ground. Cyms are leading by 12-0, 9 minutes out from half-time, and more points here. Whether it's a goal, even a field goal, would be really, really difficult for Mudgee to return as Billy Singh goes down. He's held by 2, and then a player comes in low and puts him to ground. They go across the face of the goal, and it's Bonham getting it away. And a penalty. And this time Cyms might look at a goal to take them out to 14 points to 0. They've got the momentum. In fact, the player that was penalised or was interfered with in that tackle was a replacement, Stimpson, a junior a couple of years ago, rated as a good prospect, but he wasn't one of the representative players, but he certainly come on. And now Cyms looking to extend the lead. 8 minutes and 27 seconds away from half-time. Dubbo Cyms lead 12-0. Kick should take them out to 14-0, and anything from there to half-time, if they can keep Mudgee scoreless, is going to be a bonus. Cyms came into the match as hometown favourites. They beat Mudgee earlier in the year, but in a very, very tough, tight encounter at Mudgee. But this afternoon, Cyms haven't had it all their own way, but their defence has been very strong, and they've been on the end of a couple of 50-50s that have gone their way. But what impresses you most is the fact that every one of the Cyms players is there marking up, and then they come across and they cover defend. Mudgee, they've had to play that extra game last week. They were down by 20 points to 4 or 20 points to 6 against Parks in the first of the Premiership games, but this time they've come out, and the referee just having a little bit of a break as well, Mr. Pond. As Thurston, again, nothing fancy, boot to ball, and it goes straight through, and Cyms lead by 14 points to 0, and Mudgee, a familiar path for them back to the halfway mark. The Beasley, the captain, calling for the ball across to the middle of the field. There were 2 balls on the field a while ago. Now there's no ball, and it will be the little touchy that's about to put it on. She is bringing it in via the winger, and it goes across field to winger Joshua Wilson-Tuckey, and they will look to put this one back down the field. I think it's Leighton Lothian, the winger from the far side, who's going to make this kick. Gets back to his mark. Referee blows time on. It's straight down the middle. It goes to Madden, who just very stoically puts out the foot, puts it to ground, gives it away to the captain, Jaron Powyer, who's picked up by the referee, and you can hear the call there. But he's been released, put to the ground. The referee's still calling. And Cyms go crossfield, and it's Tom Stimpson, who was the man that was on the end of that penalty that was given at the other end, which enabled Thurston to kick his third goal of the afternoon. Tries coming to Rocco and Jaron Powyer, the captain of the team, as Cyms get it out over the 30-metre mark, held up in a tackle, and a crunching attempt there by Hamish Bryant coming in, and still looking with Jai Chapman. The little chip through by Alex Bonham. He goes through. He's chipped it on further. The ball sitting up in the in goal. Jaron Powyer coming through, and the referee is going to come back here, and I think you'll find there'll be a penalty. There could even be a sin bin here against Jack Littlejohn, because he certainly kicked the ball and made 8 or 10 metres before he went to ground, Alex Bonham. That's the danger of the little fella. He's played a lot of football at 5'8", and now he's playing at hooker, and he just darted out, put the kick through, chased, and Jack Littlejohn, perhaps showing his experience, came across and put him on his back. And I don't think Cyms will mind. The clock is counting down slowly. He's on his back, and referee Pond is awarding the penalty back where he went down. Captain Jaron Powyer coming across, and I think he's asking the question as to where the penalty should have been. And the referee is saying, well, this is where it was kicked, this is where the ball finished. And there's always plenty of referees out in the middle, and Jack Beasley is saying, well, what's going on here? That happened to us down the other end, and there was no penalty. And the referee Pond is saying, well, I don't care what happened at the other end of the field, it's what's happening here. And Jack Beasley, a little bit forlorn, heads back to the 10-metre line. Time is off now, so we've probably cost a minute of Mudgee's time there, and Cyms won't mind that in the least, as Bonham still on his feet, still on his backside, gets up. Let's have a look at this on replay. Yes, he certainly changed direction, hit him to ground, and it was Jaron Powyer racing against the two wingers from Mudgee. Almost got there, but the ball beat all of them over the dead ball line. Now Madden going to work with his team. There's plenty of calls coming from the sideline as Bonham, he looks like he's injured his leg, and that could be a serious injury. And that would then raise the question as to whether or not the player that created the foul perhaps ought to be sitting down in the sin bin, because if the referee saw that as a deliberate attempt to put him down, then Bonham looks like it's a lower leg or an ankle injury. Anyway, he comes off now with 3 minutes to go, and he'll be up into the sheds, a bit of ice and a bit of TLC to see if he can get back out into the second half, as Cyms still looking to make a decision here. One of the big men coming on for Cyms is Jaden Merritt, and he's been one of their best over the last couple of years. Did go to Sydney and had an attempt, but they're going to take a tap kick. Mitch Cleary just puts it on the boot, goes across to Madden, and then to Tommy Simpson. Charges forward and taken by the Mudgee defence. Critical time for Mudgee, down by 14-0 in the grand final. Claude Gordon goes across the field, gives it back to Burgess, and Burgess runs up. He's picked up. Maybe his brother that's underneath him there, Casey Burgess. They go to the blind side. It's Cleary, and then the man that has made hit and spin his own, Jai Chapman, the Western Rams centre, gets up almost to the 10-metre line. He's not going to get up having left any question unanswered. Chapman, it goes away to Claude Gordon. Gordon looking on the inside. Jaron Powyer, the skipper, gets out. Will Cyms look at perhaps a penalty or a field goal here? They lead by 14 points to 0. They just want to keep the momentum going, but it looks like they're going to run it. Claude Gordon across to Thurston. Thurston gets on the outside, gets the pass away, but his arm was hit as he went to pass that, hits the ground and gone into touch, and it will be Mudgee with 2 minutes left, probably 6, maybe 2 sets, but at least one set of 6 to see if they can put some points on the board before half time. They tap the ball and it goes straight forward to the prop forward there. The second row it might be that has taken that forward, and again just one out play from Mudgee, nothing expansive. They're looking to keep Cyms on the back pedal, and it goes across this time to the 5/8 Carpenter, and he turns it back on the inside, and a good run by Hudson Brown, the young fellow that's off to Melbourne. Beasley again to the experienced fullback Littlejohn, the former coach. He gets it away, and Mudgee get up over the halfway line. They've got a minute to go. A kick downfield, looking for touch, is it, or going into the in goal? It's going into the in goal, and there he is, a bloke that has done it all this season. Jeremy Thurston does a goose step, gets himself back into the field of play. The referee is having a look with his touch judge on this one. I think the replay will show that he was held, and then in the process of the tackle was pulled over the sideline. Legs were still in the air there, but I think the referees ruled that that was a tackle, and the ball has gone to Mudgee. So Dubbo Cyms may well regret turning that ball over. Perhaps they'd have been better off to just put it inside their in goal and then look for the drop kick as Mudgee come to the right hand side, the grandstand side of the field, goes back into Orr. Orr is taken in desperate defence by Billy Singh, a metre out from the line. Up again, Beasley dummies, tries to get through the other little man on the opposite side, Geordie Madden. Cyms have held out for 3, 38 seconds left. Can they put some points on the board? Mudgee, it goes to the left hand side, and then Carpenter brings it back through Orr, and it goes to the 17 is there, big man Hudson Brown, but Cyms scramble again in defence and put him down. Last 2 tackles of the half as it goes across to Carpenter. Carpenter puts it on the boot. It is touched by Cyms and then goes through to Thurston. He was penalised the last time, or not penalised, he ran into touch the last time, and Thurston I think's been around a little while too, and he understands that with 7 seconds left on the clock, it's not going to do any harm to lay down on the ground a little longer. Once he gets back to his feet, referee Pond blows time on. Corey Drew, the winger, just takes it forward, takes the tackle. 1-0, it will be half-time. Dubbo Cyms leading by 14 points to 0 in the grand final. Tries the first to Rato Pacelli Rocco, converted by Jeremy Thurston on a windy day here at Apex Oval. The second try came to Jaron Powyer after a super piece of work by Geordie Madden, the halfback, crabbed his way crossfield, found him coming through the gap, the captain Jaron Powyer, and he scored about 15 metres in from touch. And then the kick from wide out again by Thurston was unerringly accurate, and then he kicked a penalty goal when Tom Stimson, the replacement prop forward, was pulled by the ankle in front of the post. So the first grade game in the Peter McDonald Premiership, Dubbo Cyms in control at the moment, leading 14-0, but we've seen Mudgee come back from 20-4 against Parks, and these second 40 minutes will definitely determine the match. As I mentioned earlier, the league tag won by Bathurst and Pats 32-8 against a young Dubbo Macquarie side. Dubbo Cyms came from 10 points down to defeat Cowra Magpies 32-22 in reserve grade, and in the Tom Nelson Western Premiership Under-18s Grand Final, Orange Hawks completed an unbeaten season 42-14 against Lithgow Workies. Half-time in first grade, Dubbo Cyms 14, lead Mudgee Dragons 0. We might take a little bit of a break as the kids are out in the middle kicking the footballs around. Be back for the second half shortly.
No, I'm all right. It's not my feet. I'm all right. Yeah. I'm good. I can't move around when I'm sitting, so really. Thank you, though. No, I'm all right.
I had a knee replacement, so I can't stand it.
Delayed live stream. Almost live stream. I think I would say I won't. So it's always they say that I know it costs the crowd, but if the game starts, the crowd got here, the wind's coming. You don't advertise it, but you just say to people, what's that? Enjoyed that, thank you. Good job, Dubbo. Very easy. Yeah, no, Cyms asked me that was going into the live stream. I said, mate, I'm happy to do it. I'm doing it now, but right stream, I'll get the clearance from you to rugby league. Welcome back to Apex Oval as the Mudgee Dragons trailing by 14-0 at half-time. First team back out in the second half, and Jack Beasley, the little man who's playing hooker, he's the captain of the side. He's leading them on the field. The coach, Clay Priest, has missed the last 6 weeks or the last 4 weeks, and then will miss a couple more weeks because of suspension. He's looking to control play from up in the grandstand. And Dubbo Cyms, two of the littler players coming out on the field. Jaron Powyer. It'll be interesting to see if the hooker, Alex Bonham, comes out, but I've got a feeling that he won't be out there as Jaden Merritt revs up the crowd as he runs through. And that's a real shame for Alex Bonham, who's been a stalwart of Cyms over the last 6 or 7 years. Claude Gordon, the last man onto the field, just takes his time getting out there. A bit of extra pressure coming in the second half now to Gordon and his half partner, young Geordie Madden. Those two, along with the fullback, the man about to kick off, Jeremy Thurston, will need to take the kicking that Bonham does so well. And it's ironic that Bonham was injured, tackled by this man, Little John, after he'd jumped out of dummy half, put the ball through and then tried to chase, and he was well taken. That's a nice little aside there, as Jai Chapman could see the pass was going out to Jake Durant, and he came flying up, and Jake Durant was taken a little bit by surprise, but nothing came of it. Now Mudgee getting the ball up towards the halfway line. They need a high energy start to the second half, down by 14 points to 0. It's going to take a lot of work and a couple of pieces of luck to go their way if they're to get back against this Dubbo Cyms team, who have been not only the best attacking team but the best defensive team in the competition throughout. Goes to Little John, and this one high with a bit of wind behind him going across the field. Chapman goes up and back like a great AFL player there. Not the biggest man on the field, but he's certainly the most courageous, and he just went back, took that in his fingertips, and Dubbo Cyms have defused the first of the bombs, and it comes now away from their own line as Cleary, I thought, would go into half, and that's the replacement, Mitch Cleary, number 14, two brothers from Canamble, Mitch and Jamin. started in reserve grade last year, but they've made first grade spots their own this year. Jaron Pawya goes forward and Cleary again. Now it comes to Burgess, and Burgess just puts the afterburner on, gets it out over the 30 metre line. Cyms players, particularly Jai Chapman, looking for some pressure here. And it goes out to the right-hand side. It goes to the halfback there, Madden, and he follows through and does what he does so often. Down low, makes the tackle, and Little John it is that's forced to play it inside his own half. They get it up over the 40 metre line now. Mudgee down by 14 points to 0. It goes to Beasley, and Beasley across the field comes to centre in David West. Wellington boy, who played a bit with the Macquarie side as well. But he's over in Mudgee now and making the best of it as Mudgee get up to the 40 metre line. Little John goes through, beats the first tackle, comes back inside, finds a runner, and a good tackle there by Billy Singh. Now comes across, and Little John, a little chip up and above. Thurston jumps for it. He's knocked it on, and Mudgee have come up with the try. I'll just try and get that number for you. It might be Jaden Brown, or it might even be David West. We'll have a look at the replay. They did well, Mudgee there through that first set of 6. A perfect start for them in this second half, trailing by 14-0, 14-4. Little John puts the kick up. It was perfectly weighted, but there was a little bit of problem here from Cyms. 2 players going for it. It came down, and it was the 3, David West, who scored the try, and Mudgee back in it now, 14-4 with a kick to come. We've seen Mudgee through the semi-finals have fought their way back on a couple of occasions when they've been behind on the scoreboard. They did it in the qualifying final. They defeated Parks 28-20 after trailing 20 points to 4, and then they defeated Orange Hawks last week in a topsy-turvy affair. The lead changed hands 3 or 4 times, so they're not put out of the game by being behind on the scoreboard. And Dubbo Cyms, who would have been hoping that scoreboard pressure might create some problems. I think the problem for Cyms there was that 2 players went for the ball, Jeremy Thurston and the centre Jai Chapman, and they got in each other's way, and the ball hit the deck. Well, not quite the deck, it hit David West's chest, and now the conversion goes out to the left of the post, and that's Leighton Lothian. He would have nailed that throughout the season. 14-4, still has Cyms 2 converted tries ahead, and points for Dubbo Cyms are as important for them as stopping the opposition from getting them in the second half. Now they're not in any hurry, and Thurston comes back up to the halfway line, fairly dirty section right on halfway. There's been a lot of sport played here over the last couple of months with soccer and rugby league and rugby union juniors finals, and this time the ball allowed to bounce, and it did spin back to Dubbo Cyms, but thankfully one of the Mudgee players going back there was able to get the ball in his fingertips and takes it to ground. And now Mudgee looking to really power ahead and get themselves down into Cyms territory as the second rower Durant went forward and was tackled, and now 17 is Tom Stimpson over the top in a tackle, and Mudgee on just the third tackle this time. Little John looking for a 40-20. He got the ball into perfect position, but the bounce came back to Thurston. He would have wanted that to take an off break and go over the sideline. Comes back to Chapman. He gets to Drew, and I mentioned early in the call, Drew is one of those wingers that loves to get in and take the pressure off, and so does this man, Rocco, who scored the first try, and he gets them up over the 30-metre line. He's taken down low and just held to that 30-metre line. Mudgee with it all to do in the second half. They've scored the first try. Jaron Pawya goes across to the middle of the field, and he's taken again in very determined defence by the Mudgee Dragons. The 15 there was Hamish Bryant, who's been busy since he came on halfway through the first half. 5 tackles gone for Cyms, and they haven't been able to get the ball down where they'd like to, but Thurston this time puts the ball on the end of the boot, and it goes to Lothian, and he steps off the right foot, comes back into Chapman, goes to ground, and he's taken by Chapman and winger Drew, and this time Little John goes forward, and he's wrapped up by 3 of the Cyms players. They'd be a little bit peeved about what happened at the end of the first half when Jack Littlejohn certainly changed direction and as a result of a collision that he had with Alex Bonham. Bonham, the hooker for Cyms, has come from the field. Now Beasley, just one out off the ruck, but they're getting themselves into good field position again. They scored from a kick down this end the last time they were down here, and the referee is calling Billy Singh away from the tackle. Hamish Bryant gets the penalty and then takes a tap. Was it Little John takes the tap and is down now only 12 metres out. Is this the comeback for Mudgee? 14-4 down in the grand final. 7 minutes gone in the second half. They come out to the right. It goes back to the second rower, Jake Durant, but he's met and held on the 10-metre line by Dubbo Cyms, and it was Chance Burgess. They go across the post. This time looking out, looking in, and going to ground is Casey Burgess. Again, Beasley in at dummy half. Gets it there to a close run. It might be Hayden Brown, is it? The young second rower. He's over the line but pushed back and will play the ball. Third tackle gone. A poor pass, but it's been a nice pick up there for Mudgee, and David West, who scored the try, has come through. It's been given away, and another player is tackled right in front of the left-hand upright as we look across the field. They come to the left again. A little grubber, but this time it's well read by Thurston. He goes down on it, and Cyms have the ball a couple of metres away from their line. If you hadn't been watching this game, you would have thought that it was Mudgee that were leading. They've certainly dominated the first 8 minutes of this second half, but only the one try, and that was unconverted. 14-4 is the score as Cyms, in their third tackle, try to take it away from their own line. And young Cleary, who's gone into play at dummy half, gets the ball across the field. And there's a man that coach or Captain Jaron Powyer said, even though he's a second rower, has the skills of a 5'8", and that's Chance Burgess, and it goes across the line. Tommy Hughes, the big centre, is taken forward and then put on his head. And that'll be interesting to have a look at that as a replay. I don't think that was a deliberate attempt. I think it was just Tommy Hughes is quite a heavy lad. The tackle was low and he was picked up but then spun over. And there's no doubt about it, he landed on his head and shoulders. Referee Pond has talked about it, but nothing's happening with that. So Dubbo Cyms will kick away from their own line, and the first opportunity for a bit of a relax in the second half as they... something going on the far side of the field. And the referee is said to the touch judge, and the touch judge... They need a ground manager on the far side of the field. There's something that's gone on over on that side of the field. Could have been some... Yeah, it's interesting to listen to the referee and his touch judge. We might stay tuned into that. Brooke Mallison going across the field, and Tim Del Guzzo, who's the CEO of the Western Rams, heading across there. Something's been said, and I suggest it was after that tackle when Thurston, or Tom Hughes it was, that went to ground. The referee, and a racial slur it is that's been on Ratu Rocco. So the referee and the ground managers and officials are getting this under control, and if there are police at the ground, I would suggest that there will be somebody coming across shortly. And another touch judge coming onto the field. The penalty going to Dubbo Cyms, so a stoppage that neither team would mind, probably, because it's given them another minute to have a bit of a rest, and Thurston just puts the ball out over the sideline about 4 or 5 metres, and Tom Hughes, who was the man that was upended in that tackle, gets the ball back and gets up to the 40-metre line. So Mudgee with it all to do. 14-4 behind on the scoreboard. Gordon, and now to Burgess, and Burgess comes across and he runs into the halfback, Pacey Stockton. Stockton holds him, and he's helped there by second rower Jake Durant. And this time Cyms go across the line and get it almost to the 30-metre line. Cyms starting to build a little bit of momentum. They haven't had the ball, but it goes to the left-hand side and then comes back on the inside. A little bit of confusion amongst the Cyms players there. The ball went to ground. There's a call from the crowd for a knock-on. Geordie Madden it is that goes down in the fourth tackle. And now big Tom Stimpson knows one way. Tommy Stimpson, and that's straight down the middle, and he gets it out to in 12 metres of the line. It goes to Madden again, and Madden gets a lovely cut-out pass, not for the first time, for the second time in the match. He bypassed Billy Singh, and it went out to Tom Hughes, the 4, and Tommy Hughes scores. I've said it several times, but the little halfback looks like he's only tiny. He looks like he could be cut in half by one of the props, but he does the cutting in half. In defence, he's getting up on top of them, and that time he went crossfield. He put the ball out in front of the centre, Tom Hughes, and Hughes, who started the season on the wing, but has been in the centres for the last 8 or 10 weeks. He's been superb today once again, and his defence is a feature of his game, but he's a big body, he's a big unit, and he was able to get through there. And now we'll find that the kick is going to come from just to the left of the upright, and it will be by Jeremy Thurston, who's already kicked 3 goals. Cyms leading at half-time by 14-0. They led 12-0 after 2 tries, 1 to Rocco and 1 to Jaron Powyer, and now a third one has come, and that's to Tom Hughes, and Cyms leading by 18 points to 4. And Mudgee, who came out full of steam in the second half and scored the first try, have got it back to where it was at half-time, and in fact they could be -2 from half-time if Thurston puts this one between the uprights, which he does. And the 2 touch judges, Nick Lander and Bryce Hotham, put their flags in the air, and Mudgee down by 20-4. This is where they started against Parks in the first of the semi-finals. They finished first in Group 10. Parks finished second in Group 11. And Mudgee were down 20-4 against Parks, but they came back, and there's a knock-on, I think, by Dubbo Cyms. That ball was going backwards. The referee's missed it, and he hasn't got the call. But Cyms are deemed to have been tackled inside their own goal. And I think that might be a little bit of karma there, because that ball definitely came off clear his arm, back into the field of play. He tried to get up, and then he was driven back into the in-goal. And Cyms come out this time. They've put it up really high. Rocco gets out there and tries to get the ball back. They keep him up off the ground, the Cyms defence, looking to push him into touch, but it's not going to happen. And it is Mudgee who come across the field. Take the ball forward straight into the eye of the Cyms defence. Cyms out by 20-4. Mudgee need 26 minutes, and they need a lot of points in that time. But a pass has gone crossfield, and it's taken there gleefully by Jaden Merritt, who came forward, went to ground. No, it wasn't. It was Claudie Gordon. Look a little alike as Cyms go out on the far side of the field. There was a little bit of arms in the air there from Mudgee that might have been a forward pass, but I think it was fairly standard across the field. 20 points to 4 as Cyms go down the far side of the field, and it's Thurston. He beats 1, he beats 2, and then he twists, uses his wrong hand, but goes to the corner, arms in the air, and scores for Cyms. 24-4 in the grand final, and if it's not a green victory yet, certainly the points are there, and it's going to take something special here. Let's look at it as Thurston goes down the far side. He gets inside Little John, and then he comes to the 5'8", I think that is, who tries to take him, and Thurston going backwards for a little piece there, and then went crossfield and scored the try in the corner. Give himself some work to do. Leighton Lothian coming across late to try and make the tackle, but Jeremy Thurston has now kicked 4 goals, and he has scored a try in the grand final. And Dubbo Cyms looking home at 24 points to 4. It really showed, I think, Cyms' determination not to be bogged down. They're a fit side. They're playing without a man that they have done a lot of work from in the last few years in the hooker, Alex Bonham. He's come off the field. And now Cyms player, there he is. Chance Burgess comes off. He gets the green machine going. And the man that goes back out there to try and see them home is Ben Marlin, the lock forward. He's a terrific player as well. And Dubbo Cyms looking the goods. 24-4. Can Thurston, who scored the try, convert from a metre inside the touchline on the traditional, one would say, away teams side of the field? Cyms generally dominate the grandstand, but I think it's the team that has come to play Cyms in years gone by, and it looks with the red and white on that hill that Mudgee have done that today. Wellington traditionally, Narromine, when they've come to play, they've made that their home, and now Thurston, the fullback, the leading point scorer in Group 11 and the leading point scorer in the Peter McDonald Cup. Just a couple of little stutters. Boot to ball. It's out to the left. It's coming back, but it's gone too far back across the post and misses for the first time this afternoon. 24 minutes left. 24-4, and it's going to take something pretty special from Mudgee here. That one was on track most of the way, but then the wind just dragged it across the face of the goal, and Cyms by 24-4 in the Peter McDonald Cup. They were beaten in the grand final last year. It's been hanging heavy for them over the last 12 months. This time the ball goes forward, and there's an uncharacteristic mistake by Dubbo Cyms. It was always going to be difficult. The ball was kicked on an angle and spinning, and Claude Gordon coming forward to try and get it. I think traditionally a lot of the Cyms play would have been to let that ball go to ground, and they would have just waited until they saw what happened in the bounce. It comes back out. And I think I said before that it was one of the players that came off was Jaden Merritt that came off because Chance Burgess is still there. A very similar stocky build, the two players, as Mudgee put it in, and they work a move. It goes wide to to the fullback, Little John, but well read out there. And I said it before, say it again, the big fella in the centres, Tom Hughes, is an excellent defender, and he read that and came through and put Little John on his back. 2 tackles gone. Mudgee looking for points. 24-4 is the score at the moment. It is dummied to one of the props and then goes out to the right. And the 12, the second rower, Jake Durant, is over 20 metres to the left of the post. And that all came from a mistake from the kickoff when Claude Gordon was unable to get the ball that was rolling around, and it has come through. And Claude Gordon, interestingly enough, was the man who missed that tackle as Durant goes through to score. So never give up, Mudgee. Their dream is still alive. 24-8, 22 minutes left. They need to score 16 points at this stage, depending on what happens with this kick from winger Lothian. You need to put it out to the right. That wind blowing fairly strongly straight down the ground. And he's having a good look at this, but like Thurston, not a lot of movement. And he hits it poorly out to the left. So 24-8. It could have been 24-12 with a little bit straighter kicking, but 24-8. Dubbo Cyms still in front, and they lead by 14 points to 4. And then they scored another try, and now it's out to 24-8. So Cyms bringing it back up to half-time. And I think I might have given you 14-0 at half-time. In fact, it was 20 points to 0, 20 points to 4 at half-time. Dubbo Cyms having scored a penalty goal just before half-time. Come down the field, Mudgee Dragons, 28 metres out from their own line. They've got the running in the legs, comes around and runs forward, does Casey Burgess, but he's taken and turned over on his back, and it's his brother that is there doing it. Comes out to the left-hand side in front of the grandstand. And that was the try scorer, Jake Durant, who went to ground. Mudgee have gained good ground in their first 4 tackles. Beasley out of dummy half. Dummies put off his feet by James Stanley. And then 3 Cyms players come in and finish the tackle. Now it's Little John little chip across the field. Cyms again getting in their own way in the tackle. The ball was gone for by Claude Gordon and also Jai Chapman, but knocked back. And Cyms will breathe a sigh of relief. The last two kicks that have come cross field, they've gotten in their own way, and a kick-off that was dropped by Claude Gordon. Cyms go wide to Thurston, and Thurston's looking to try and punch a hole, but can't do it. He's out about 15 metres out from his own line. It goes across to the left-hand side again, and that's the second rower, Burgess. He'd be starting to feel it. No, it wasn't just Billy Singh. Like Burgess, he'd be starting to feel it a bit now, because both of them have been out of the game for about 3 or 4 weeks, and you know those match fitness is the big one, as Jimbo Stanley comes back across and then tries to straighten, but Mudgee read that well and got him only 40 metres down. Cyms will look to kick long and hard, one would think, here, as Stanley gets up onto his feet. He's certainly suffering some sort of a setback there, and the ball goes down. It's been knocked on by Madden. He tries to make the tackle, and goes back across the field and comes over right in front of the grandstand in the shadows here as Drew tries to get to his winger. The referee is going to ping one of the Cyms players there. It might be Chapman for a high tackle. I don't think that there was any intent, but as the winger stepped back inside, the first one was all right. The second one, in fact, it was Claude Gordon who made the high tackle, and the referee got the nod from the touchline, Nick Lander, and has given the penalty. Now, Cyms needing to defend. Mudgee needing points. 24-8 as Tom Lawson is taken in front of the post about 12 metres out. They come across to the left-hand side again, and Stockton, the halfback, Pacey Stockton, steps and is taken. Beasley goes out of dummy half across to Littlejohn. They're going wide this time. They try and outflank Cyms. That ball's gone to ground. Has it been touched by a Cyms player? Yes, it has been. 6 to go, and the Mudgee Dragons now with 18 minutes to go. They'd love a converted try here. 24-14 would have them right back in the game. Down by 24-8 at the moment. Beasley goes out, turns it back on the inside, and it's Casey Burgess who's taken by Cyms a couple of metres out from their own line. They've done most of the defending, Cyms, in the second half, and they might need to do some more as Tom Hughes takes an intercept. He's got Rocco racing up beside him. Tom will know that he hasn't got the legs, but he's trying to outrun the defence, and that was good defence coming across by the fullback who just put himself between the two players. If that had gone to Rocco, that would have been shut the gate, because he's a marvellous sprinter. And back to Tom Hughes on the far side. He's read the game so well in the second half, Tom Hughes. Firstly making a great tackle, and here he's been given a penalty on the back of an indiscretion by one of the Mudgee players, and I'm not sure if that's not the winger Joshua Wilson-Tucky on the far side, but Mudgee will breathe a sigh of relief. 24-8 the score, and when Tom Hughes grabbed that intercept and raced away, I knew from what I'd seen during the season he wasn't going to score the try, but I thought as Rocco raced to get near him, he might have been able to position himself, but he couldn't do that, and in the end was taken to ground by Littlejohn. And now Cyms, Madden, away to the captain, Jaron Pay, and he just jinks off his right foot, takes it to the 10-metre line. I don't think you'll see anything too dramatic here from Dubbo Cyms. It'll go to Marlon, or it's attempted to go to Marlon, and then big Jimmy Stanley, and he keeps pushing away, but he's eventually held enough to put him off balance and is pushed back by Cody Godden. Cyms on the third tackle, and it goes to Madden again, and dummies on the inside, looks to go himself, but he's taken in the defence out on that left-hand side of the field. 3 tackles gone, Dubbo Cyms. They lead 24 points to 8. 16 minutes left on the clock, and it comes across to Ben Marlon and then on to Jaron Paya. These two have been together with Cyms for the last 10 years. They're setting themselves out on the right-hand side, and it's Claude Gordon, and he's looking for a man coming back on the inside, and that's Chance Burgess, but he really didn't have the momentum and was sort of spun around and hit the ground. It goes to Cleary. Cleary gets a wide one out to the halfback Madden, and it goes to the winger Rocco, but Rocco's kick is just a little bit too strong, goes out over the in goal. Let's have a look at the interpretation here. Cyms seemed to be indicating there might have been a hand on that, but I don't think there was any discrepancy. And it is Mudgee now with 15 minutes to go, 24-8. I think it's all or nothing for Mudgee. They need to try and, if they've got it in them, throw the ball around and put some points on the board. They come to the left, and the man that has been busy there is turning the ball back on the inside, and he'll look to do it again as Beasley goes into dummy half, gets it across to Stockton. Was coming left, but it's gone back to the right-hand side. 3 tackles gone. Mudgee looking to put points on the board, down by 16 at the moment. They go out on the right-hand side, and a good punching run has the Cyms defenders going backwards, but they've picked the ball up, and this time Mudgee out of dummy half, and I thought that try was coming. He was in a hole, but Thurston coming over the top to finish off a tackle, and this time Stockton steps, dummies, goes further ahead, and then hits the ground. The referee's come back. He's actually awarded a penalty to Dubbo Cyms. Interesting to see what's happened there. He's ruling that Stockton had the ball and went behind his own player. Now, that's not the replay we're looking for. It was just a little bit before that. That was Drew, who was going to try and bring it back. A couple of the Cyms boys there down on their haunches as Thurston puts the ball out about, not a long kick, about 18 metres away from their own line. And Chapman is pointing at something there as to where the tackle's going to go, and it goes to Stanley, and Stanley this time more characteristic forward and gets the ball out the back to Madden, and it goes across to Powyer, the captain, who scored the first try, and the second try after Rocco had scored the first, and he's up. A good gain in metres by Dubbo Cyms in the early stages, and it goes on to the left-hand side of the field this time, and Cyms almost up to halfway, go to ground, play the ball back, and come across to Madden, and Madden just content to turn it back inside there to Ben Marlin. He captained the under-18s to victory 10 or 12 years ago for Dubbo Cyms, and he's played in probably 9 or 10 grand finals. Hasn't won them all, but he'll be looking forward to a sure. But if they can hang on to this 24-8 lead, they lead by, there's 13 minutes left, and the referee calling a halt to proceedings. There's a couple of players there. I think Jaron Powyer is coming over and saying that the Mudgee player held his leg, and the referee's not having any of that. He's saying no. It was Mitch who came forward there, the number 19 for Cyms, and the boys just having a bit of push and shove. Mudgee now with 6 tackles to try and put points on the board. 24-8 down. They're 18 metres away from the line, and it comes across to the prop forward, I think, or the second rower, Jake Durant. He's taken about 8 metres out. The green line of defence is going to be tested again as Durant gets up, plays the ball. They come to the left and then back on the inside, and it's Cody Gooden. This time they just can't breach that Cyms defence. They've been over the top twice and scored tries, and this time it is Tracy Stockton, and it's young Chapman. Smarts there, picked the ball up inside the in goal and then dived back over the line. I think he'd like to be down the other end diving the ball over the line, and he's having a word to his opposite number, Cody Godden. And there's a player down on the ground there. It's Thurston who's been put down by second rower Jake Durant, but Cyms get the ball meantime, and this time it's Casey Burgess, and he gets it up not quite to the 40-metre line, but away from their own line at least, and Cyms through clear. He gets it away to Tom Stimson, the workhorse in the Cyms pack when he comes from the bench, and he gets it forward as Claude Gordon comes off very gingerly, and he's replaced by Jamin Cleary going on for what could be the last 11 minutes of the game. They go to the right-hand side, and here he is, the little halfback Madden. He gets a lovely kick, but it is the fullback Little John who's across there, reads the play well, back to the Cyms defence. He's picked up, and he was past the 45, but I think the tackle was stopped, and Mudgee, they're showing why they've been the champion team in Group 10 this year. They're bringing the ball back, winger Tucky, and now it comes again to the little hooker Beasley. Gee, he's been strong too. comes out to the left-hand side, but a poor pass there as Mudgee's momentum stalled for a moment, and the second rower is picked up and driven back by Ben Marlin. Some talk that Ben Marlin might give it away this year. As the ball goes in, Corey Drew is back there to take it, but he runs back into the in goal, and that might be a decision that on retrospect he might be concerned about, that perhaps he could have tried to step as we saw Thurston do in the first half, and great work by Pacey Stockton, the halfback, to get back there and maintain control over Drew and keep him inside his in goal. Now Thurston again, a slow march back underneath the post. Cyms getting set. We're going short, we're going long. This time it is going to be a little longer, and it's one of those crabby sort of kicks that was spinning sideways, and Mudgee get it back to the halfway, and they look to go through Durant, and he tries to step inside Ellis, but Ellis hangs on, and Cleary there with him as well. One tackle gone. Onto the second tackle now, and a man that did score a try, David West, is taken in front of the post, just in front of the left-hand upright. Jaron Pawia down there with Marlin. They go wide again this time. Jack Littlejohn, but a lovely low tackle there from Rocco. Didn't complete it, but did enough to put the player on the ground, and Cyms able to finish off. They come back across the left-hand side again, and this time Mudgee taken a couple of metres out from the line. That was the replacement, Tom Lawson. Cyms under pressure as the Mudgee team come across the paddock. It's held up and then thrown back to the captain Beasley, and he's taken a metre out from the line. Points needed for Mudgee as Littlejohn goes wide. Those a pass that is taken well, and then the Mudgee player out on that far side of the field sprints back inside, but he runs into four Cyms defenders, and Ben Marlin, no concern that he would be one of the players there, and I think that might be the second rower, Burgess, is it, that's there? He gets to his feet slowly anyway. No, it wasn't. It was Cleary, the second rower. And they've been heroic in defence, the Cyms lock and back rowers, as this time it's Cleary out of dummy half, down and then pulled up and pulled back to ground, and he's looking to go on with it just a little bit as Cyms get the ball out in the middle of the field. Still not to the 40-metre line yet, but they are working their way away from their own line. And there's Pawia. I said at the start, his first run will be the same as his last run. Fast, furious, and right into the teeth of the defence. But Mudgee camped on the 40-metre line in defence. Now goes to Thurston. Thurston, a little one over the top. This is something a bit different. He then gets the second kick, puts it onto his toe quite nicely. It goes to Littlejohn, and Littlejohn finds a player who's returning in defence. He comes back, is taken and put down by Cyms. That was the winger, Leighton Lothian. And again, they come down the left-hand side in front of the grandstand, but the ball goes back on the inside, and it's Madden who's coming through. He gets up and he has a bit of a push there, and there's Pacey Stockton and also Beasley. But the man on the sideline, an experienced touch judge and referee, Nick Lander, comes in and separates that before it goes any further. Cyms kicked the ball, rucked the ball forward up over the 40-metre line down to ground, and comes out this time to Burgess, and Burgess just shovels it off back across his body, and it was the replacement Merritt who came on then. Cyms looking through Ben Marlin, nearly up to the 40-metre line. Where they're going here, a high kick or a long kick? It's going to be a high kick from Thurston. You can see by the way he held that ball up, and the fullback there has come flying through Littlejohn and then followed up with it, and the ball bounced back into Cyms' quarter, and without doing anything, Mudgee probably gained almost the distance that Cyms had kicked the ball from. The ball came back down about 8 metres away from half-time. The clock ticking, though. 6:20, 6:19 left on the clock. Mudgee down by 16. 24-8 it is at the moment as the Mudgee lock forward. just shovels his way forward. Jaden Brown gets it away to Hooker Beasley, and it goes crossfield, and they reach the 30-metre line. The Mudgee team, the Dragons, they've come back from this position twice in the finals. Can they do it this afternoon? Well, a dummy there, but the Cyms defence was solid, and they stayed on him. Beasley out of dummy half, and he finds one of his big forwards coming through. But the Cyms defence through the middle of the ruck has been tight all day, and the tries in the second half, 2 came from kicks. This time it's another kick, and it's gotten outside to Rocco on the far side of the field, and I'm not exactly sure who's scored that, but I think it's the winger on the far side, maybe Josh Wilson-Tucky. We'll have a look at the replay, we'll tell it a little more clearly. 3 tries in the second half, and they've all come from kicks or from a kick mistake by Dubbo Cyms when Claude Gordon dropped the ball from a kick-off. It left Mudgee with plenty of ball. This time it goes crossfield. It's a lovely takeover there, and then the try. We might see the number this time as Beasley it is. He takes the ball from dummy half, gets it across, and it's Carpenter. And that ball gets outside Rocco. No, it's the number 4 that scored the try, Nathan Orr. And that means that both of the Mudgee centres have scored tries, 24-12. Even a conversion here is not going to be enough for Mudgee, but it can put them back within range, 24-12. They need 12 points in the last 4.5 minutes, the Mudgee Dragons. In a grand final that has had plenty of moments. Dubbo Cyms getting out early and getting away to a 20-point lead, and then Mudgee fighting back 14-4, 24-8, but Dubbo Cyms continuing to hold on. 24-12 it is now, with Mudgee having scored in the second half through David West, Nathan Orr, and the second rower Jake Durant. And those 12 points unconverted. So another 3 goals would have had them up there and within a converted try, whereas Dubbo Cyms have only missed the 1 goal. Fullback Jeremy Thurston, 4 goals and a try. Tom Hughes, Ratu Rocco and Jaron Paya, the captain, all scoring tries as Dubbo Cyms kick off. And Mudgee making their way back as Tom Stimson makes the tackle. It goes out on the right-hand side of the field, the scoreboard side of the field, and Burgess out from dummy half gets it away to another free running forward. The Cyms defence is solid, but they're certainly not got the same line speed as they had early on, as you would expect in the 76th minute of the grand final. This time it's a player that's gone forward, Damon Cleary, and he's gone down low. Looked like he might have taken a bit of a hit, but he's back on his feet now, and it's coming across the field. Prop forward, Godden gets the ball away, it goes to ground, and they're forced to go back and pick it up, and the winger, the number 5, Lothian, it goes down. They spin it around and send it out, and the ball's gone to ground. Cyms have picked it up. It's the 16 who's gotten away with it, Jaden Merritt, and he pushes 1 out of the road, 2 out of the road, and had his big fullback Thurston looming up on the inside. Cyms by 24-12, and the grand final for 2023 is almost certain to stay in Group 11. Last year it was the Forbes Magpies who beat Dubbo Cyms. This year it's Dubbo Cyms by 24-12 with just over 2 minutes left as they take it down. Chance Burgess, whose brother Casey is playing for Mudgee, gets up, plays the ball. Young Cleary, who's played the second half as dummy half after Alex Bonham went from the field injured with a knee injury, he gets up and gives it to Marlon. Marlon slowly to his feet and away to Tom Stimson again, and the big fellow just carts it forward. He's taken about 20 odd metres out. Cleary will go in at dummy half, comes back here to Thurston. Thurston looking for a field goal. It comes off the boot quite nicely, and the referee has signalled a field goal. So what a game for Jeremy Thurston. He didn't count that as his strongest kick, but by gee, it's a point, and 25 points to 12 makes it almost impossible for Mudgee to come back. 1 minute 28 left on the clock, and Dubbo Cyms looked like this grand final record of playing in 8 of the last 10 is going to come to fruition for them. Beaten by Forbes on a couple of occasions, beaten by Dubbo Macquarie on a couple of occasions, but this afternoon their first grand final against the Mudgee Dragons, and it looks like they're going to come up trumps as Jai Chapman gets it, a little bit of fancy footwork, goes left, goes right, and then comes back, and the Mudgee defenders, well, Chapo loves it hard, and the Mudgee defenders would be loving getting up there and in his face and a bit of push and shove. Nothing too much, because Chapo will be the first bloke after the game to come out and shake hands as the clock says 50 seconds left, and Drew goes to ground away to Cleary, and Cleary gets it away to Stimpson, and Stimpson's worked hard all afternoon. Not one of the big name players for Cyms, but by gee, he's got a big heart. Puts the ball down. The referee says that there was a hand in that, and what are Cyms going to do? In fact, someone's going to go to the showers early because he's got, whoa, here we go. They're holding their arms up, the Dubbo Cyms players, Jai Chapman, and it looks like Jaden Merritt, as this Mudgee player leaves the field. It looks like they're saying that he was sucked in. But Dubbo Cyms, well, I guess everyone loves a winner, but you don't need to demonstrate to everyone just how good you are when you've won the game and you've been stronger on the day, as Mudgee have a couple of players from the field there. They've come off the lock forward, that was, that came off Jaden Brown, an experienced player for Mudgee. No doubt they'll be looking at getting back into this again next year. The kids are coming onto the field. The referee's got a bit of a problem here because it hasn't been blown full time, and I think if Cyms do the right thing, then they'll just tap the ball and kick it straight over the touchline, because there's players and big players, big little kids and big kids on the field. Mums out there to try and get their kids off the field, and this time it'll just go to Madden, and I think Madden will just tap it and kick it out over the sideline. The referee coming up, he's just having a chat there, I think, probably saying to him, look, just get it out. He's waiting for them. And Madden, they've still got kids on the field, the referee is saying. And until they come from the field, because there could be an intercept and somebody runs, and Madden just puts it out over the touchline. And Dubbo Cyms are the winners, and there he is. The man that I said loves to get in the faces of the opposition is Jai Chapman, and he goes up there to Cody Godden, and they have a pat on the back. And I'm looking down to the sideline here, and as the teams are coming out, I can see Alex Bonham, who went off just before half-time, had an extraordinary first 40 minutes, but then was injured, taken from the field, and he's got looks like his right ankle heavily bandaged. Let's see if he takes part in the post-match proceedings. In fact, he's going to be lifted up by some of his teammates. Kevin Walkham's got him there, and that would be quite a feat. Dubbo Cyms have a good following in Group 11 and in the Western Rams, and today they've come out victors by a full-time score that reads 24 points to 12. Jeremy Thurston a try, 4 goals and a field goal. Ratu Rocco scored a try in the first half. Tom Hughes a try, Jaron Parrier a try, and Dubbo Cyms 25 points. I've called it 24. I didn't put that last field goal on. 25 points to 12. 3 tries for the Mudgee Dragons, 1 each to David West, Nathan Orr and Jake Durant, the second rower. Cyms are a champion club, a champion team, and they deserve their victory. But the Mudgee Dragons have come to play today, and they've given an enormous display that their own supporters would be proud of. Possibly some dropped ball that I think they will rue, and a couple of tries scored by Cyms, particularly the tries that were set up by the halfback Madden, who in his second season has shown that he's got a huge future in the game. The earlier games today in grand finals of the Peter McDonald Cup, the first match of the day went to Bathurst St Pat's, 32-8. Back-to-back premierships for them, as it was in reserve grade, where Dubbo Cyms overcame a 10-point deficit. They came from 12-22 down to win 32-22, and then Orange Hawks, much too strong for Lithgow Workies, 42-14 after they led 12-10 at half-time. It was a match that I think a lot of people walked away thinking, gee, we're seeing some kids who will be playing first grade in Sydney in the next few years. And the Peter McDonald Premiership Grand Final went to Dubbo Cyms 25-12, the final score. I've seen some extraordinary grand finals over the years. Today was as competitive as any, but at the same time, Dubbo Cyms looked to be in control for probably 90% of the game, and it was their online defence in both the first half and in the second half. At one stage, 20 tackles in a row as the Mudgee Dragons came at them, but come second half, they were able to come out and display championship qualities. Mudgee will go home, ruining a couple of missed opportunities, but at the same time, they'll be hoping that their captain coach, Clay Priest, is back with them next year, because he will bring something that maybe was lacking out there today. A terrific day of rugby league. The Premiership to Dubbo Cyms, the Peter McDonald Cup, and the Peter Ace McDonald Cup, named in honour of a man who gave himself to rugby league from Cowra, but in Group 10 and in the Western Division and in Country Rugby League, and he would be very proud to see what's happened out here today. Dubbo Cyms, the champions. Group 11 will go away and they'll crow a little bit about the fact that they had won 2 premierships, but on the same token, the under-18s and the Women's League tag, which went the way of Group 10 teams, will have a lot of people looking at where we go next year. It's no doubt that this competition has won the hearts of the players. Everything I've heard is players love to be up against teams from other communities that they don't normally play against. And when you've got Nyngan and Lithgow, you've got Cowra, Mudgee, you've got the Bathurst teams, the Orange teams. It'd be great to see the great Oberon team, which won a Clayton Cup back in the 1960s. Cobar is playing in the Castlereagh League, and they played in the grand final yesterday. Sadly, they were, for them, beaten by Golgong, who completed an unbeaten season and could become the first side since Cobar in 1998 to win a premiership, and that premiership would be the Clayton Cup for the most winningest team in Country Rugby League. They played well, they deserve it. Brad James and his team have been magnificent ambassadors for the game, and in their centenary year it would be a marvellous reward. Presentations still to come. We'll have those results on maybe a skim for you a little later. But for the moment, at Apex Oval, where the celebrations continue and the commiserations continue, Dubbo Cyms the champions, Mudgee Dragons the runners-up, and the final scorers, Tom Big James Stanley is there with a little bub that was born during the year. He has 2 beside him now and a premiership trophy. This is Jeff Mann, and we hope that you've enjoyed our coverage.